Hello, everybody. Let's give it a second. There we go. Hello, everybody. Hope you are doing well today. Welcome to Speaker Spotlight. And for those I have not met before, my name is Lori. I am a business and brand success coach who helps freedom-loving coaches, consultants, and strategists to grow and scale sustainable, location-independent businesses and personal brands, whether they are in the startup phase or scaling, building businesses that support them long-term so they will never need to look back into that rearview mirror at the 9-to-5 life again. And today I am joined by Jenn Espinosa-Goswami, and she is a professional speaker and holistic confidence coach at Weightless LLC, a former Toastmasters International Officer and graduate of the Masters of Leadership program at Augsburg University. Jenn helps women show up confidently and in their personal and professional lives. Her transformational health story has been featured on Authority Magazine, Thrive Global, Women's Health, Reader's Digest, and numerous podcasts. Jenn is mom to 2 daughters and enjoys swimming at one of the 10,000 lakes in her city of Minneapolis. Yes, Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes. Love it.
That's where I belong, where all the lakes are.
Welcome, Jenn. Yes, I was born, we were talking ahead of time, I was born and raised for a big portion of my life in Minnesota as well. So can definitely appreciate the land of 10,000 lakes. So welcome. So happy to have you here.
Thank you, Lori. And yes, I love connecting with hometown folks and people who share my love for the lakes, because it's really hard. Once you've experienced Minnesota, it's kind of hard to leave, even though our winters are a little bad, but our summers are so beautiful.
Yeah, summers are amazing. Winters, that's why I flew the coop and went south, but they're brutal. They're brutal. So more power to you for surviving them. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Jenn, as we dive in. Would love to hear more about, what brought you into this realm that we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, well, I never should have been a speaker. And here's what I mean by that. I'm the youngest of 4 kids. So if you have a larger family, or you are the baby of the family like I was, you probably kept quiet a lot. You didn't want to nag on your older brothers and sisters. You knew it was important for you to keep a low profile. So I was that kid throughout school, throughout my life. I was very quiet. I was the listener of my group, my friend group, and I was a really good student. So it was quite a shock to me when I had my last job layoff from financial services. I spent 16 years in corporate doing various fraud investigations, which was interesting, but it wasn't really for me at the end of the day. So when they laid me off yet again, I'm like, okay, that's it. What am I really passionate about? And oddly enough, I had started Toastmasters during my time at my previous company. One of my previous companies was Wells Fargo.
Okay.
And I excelled at public speaking. So, I guess I surprised myself as much as anyone else, but it was a fabulous time. I learned a lot of good things, and people kept telling me, they're like, you're really good at speaking. So I'm like, oh, I'm kind of good at speaking, and I'm passionate about speaking. Why don't I make this into a business? So that's how I opened up my business. And long story short, I did lose 100 pounds at one point in my life. And that was my signature presentation. How to easily lose weight without diets, without all of the 6 hours in the gym every day, all the time. I was not that person. So I thought it was important for me to share the process to lifestyle change with people who had done every single diet in the world and were still dissatisfied with where they were, because I knew that it wasn't about me necessarily. Who cared that I lost weight? It took me 4 years after I lost weight to start talking about it.
Yeah.
And I got to a place where I'm like, okay, I'm giving myself permission to share this, not because it's the me show, but because it's influencing what other people want to do with their lives. And that's when I started becoming a coach. So that's kind of, I started as a speaker, and then I incorporated coaching later on in my business.
Okay, I love that approach. And P.S., congratulations on that massive weight loss. I've lost about 75 pounds. So I know how transformational that can be, and have completely shifted just everything in my life around
Good
that.
For you.
So
That's
huge.
Fabulous.
So yes, just in that in yourself, you're much inspiration, I think, to a lot of people. But the public speaking thing, That's something I know that a lot of entrepreneurs, whether they're new or they've been at it for a while, tend to really struggle with this. So would love to hear more about, I guess for those people. I don't know if you were ever one of those people that did struggle with it, or if it's just always come naturally to you, but how do we start? How does somebody who is not confident, who is afraid of putting themselves out there like that, become more like you, where they're more confident putting themselves out there?
Yeah, well, it's a progression like anything. I didn't just like from day one, I'm like, I'm going to be a speaker. And then the next day I was on this huge stage. No, it didn't happen like that. But one of the things that was helpful for my own confidence was testing it out.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is knowing exactly what you want to say. Now, some people are fine going off the cuff, impromptu, live, making it up as they go along, use whatever words you want to use for that. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the same as a speech.
Right.
So I want to make that distinction really clear. Like some people are schmoozers and are really good at talking. Speaking is not the same as talking. So one of the most important things I learned through my time in Toastmasters is there's a craft to speaking and creating a presentation that draws your audience in, has a story arc, is interesting, and builds anticipation. There are many different techniques around that. So for me, it was knowing what I was going to say before I had to say it. So once you get the speech writing part of it down, half of it's in the bag. Now from there, especially for entrepreneurs, they're like, I don't want to put my face on camera. Or I don't like the way I sound, right? Like I've had that where I listen back to my recordings. I'm like, oh, I sound horrible. Like
it
that
took
was
me like a
horrible.
year, to be able to listen to some of my own stuff. But now it doesn't bother me. But yeah, at the beginning it is. It's like nails on a chalkboard listening to yourself at the beginning.
It's painful because we don't hear ourselves the way our audience hears us. And we're like, does my voice really sound like that? Or like, oh, look, I've got a pimple over here. We tend to pick apart the things that our audience doesn't really care about, right? Like, I mean, if your voice is grating to them, then they'll just not listen to you. And that's fine. Those are not your people.
Right.
But if your voice is, somewhat pleasant and you have some vocal variety, you have some interesting things for them to pay attention to, they will listen to you. So I think that's important to recognize is if you're already in a coach, consultant, you're in the service-based business, you want to help people. That's why you are doing what you're doing. You can't help people if nobody ever sees or hears from you.
Very good point. Very good point.
So, I mean, that could be public speaking. It could be audio. Maybe you do podcast interviews where you're not on camera. So developing those small little steps to get you to that comfort zone. But again, it's great for you to write these beautifully crafted social media posts, but never put your face out there or never put your voice out there. You may not seem like a real person to the people you want to attract. So I think I translate really well on video. That's why I do a lot of video. Because my presence comes through, my smile is present. You can see who I am. I talk with my hands. I'm Italian. I'm not Italian, but I talk like an Italian.
Yeah, you too.
I'm very emotive. So for people who are very expressive, very emotive, you have to be on video because people need to feel that from you. They want to know what kind of energy you bring to the potential relationships they'll have with you. And it's fun, right? You can do different things and try different things. And it's okay if you're not perfect because nobody is.
Nobody is. And I personally, I feel like when it comes to that, like a lot of people resonate with you more when you are imperfect sometimes too. Because we all make mistakes, even you, I'm sure, like, even though you're a pro at this, I'm sure that you've had those moments.
Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times. So I don't care if I'm all done up when I go on video. And this surprises some of my people. So if you follow me on Instagram or you see any of my off the cuff videos, I do those when I'm inspired in the moment. It could be straight from my workout at the gym and I'm sweaty and I've got lobster face going on. It's gross, but I'm like inspired and my message comes through. So it's important to understand it's not about how you look all the time. Yes, you have to keep it professional. You have to have a certain image if it's something you're going to repurpose for a longer term purpose. But if you're like just inspired and you have to share something that's on your heart and mind, show up. It doesn't matter how perfect you are. It's okay. And that's how a lot of influencers build their brands is through being real.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody that's in my group watching this, that's something I talk about a lot, is being real, being authentic. I like to call it letting your freak flag fly. It's a mouthful, but that is your personal brand. Ultimately, it's you, and that's what sets you apart from other people. So like you said, whether you're red in the face from your workout or you're perfectly made up, it's showing those different aspects of who you are as a person.
I've gotten so many compliments for my car videos. So my car videos are when I'm on my way to get my kid from school. Thank goodness school is out for the summer right now. But I'm in my car, I'm waiting for my kid. So I'm like, I'm going to go live right now. Let's see what comes through for me.
I love
And
that.
it always ends up having a response from people. So I think sometimes when we think too much before we go live or before we do the thing, we tell ourselves not to do it. It's okay to do it. I'm going to give you all permission. It's okay for you to do it.
Absolutely. It's we had a guest several months ago, Chris, and his whole brand is built around, it's called the stories we tell, but it's not like storytelling to sell. It's like the stories that we tell ourselves, like you just said, and we tell ourselves that people care about all these things, or that we look a certain way, or that we need to care about this, but really nobody cares. Nobody.
We care more than anybody else.
Nobody else really does. We do. It's all about us. We're holding ourselves back so often. So that's fantastic. So in terms of, okay, they're getting comfortable, we're on camera, right? But how do we actually build an audience around that, and actually, like you said, planning your speech? How do we do that?
Yeah, well, I have a free resource and a free gift for anyone who's watching or watching on YouTube, watching in the group. I'll post it in the link or the comments below, but it's called a signature speech template. A lot of the work I do with coaches and counselors and therapists and healers is to help them identify their signature program and in their speech that they're going to deliver on their signature program. So if you don't have a signature program right now, or you have no idea what a signature speech is, totally okay. I got you. Download the resource. It gets you very clear on what your purpose of your presentations are. So every time you show up on video, every time you do a webinar or go live, you are doing a presentation. So it's important to start with the end in mind. What does success look like for you after you're done speaking? For some people, it's like, oh, I got kudos and I got likes and comments. That is success for them. For other people who are looking to build a business, they want to book phone calls with potential clients, or they want to get referrals for other speaking opportunities. Then you have to kind of edit your speech in such a way that you get that result. And so it's very different depending on what you want to get as a result of your speech. But every time you show up, you are speaking. So why not be more intentional about what success looks like for you and how you want to use that to grow your profit, your business, or even just as marketing, because you cannot underestimate the value of marketing. And speaking is usually not something you pay to do. You often get paid to speak and show up. So if you are getting paid to show up, it's okay if you don't book any clients from that first or second or third opportunity.
Right.
But if you're speaking all the time and not getting paid, we need to have a conversation around how you can change the flow of your speech to get a better result than you're getting today, because there is a technique to that. I've been in the business for a while. I have different ways to help you through that. And it's about your stories, and it's about how you transition. There are a lot of different techniques I can show you. Some of them you learn in Toastmasters, but not all of them are shared in Toastmasters.
Oh, this is great information. And I personally, I mean, again, I feel pretty confident on camera, but I'm still looking forward to that resource. And like Jenn said, we're going to go ahead and share that in the comments after the fact as well. So in terms of, okay, so let's say we've got a great speech. One thing that I know a lot of people struggle with, and that is building an audience. And I know something that you mentioned, previously was building, or how speaking can help you to actually build your audience. So I'd love to talk a little bit more in detail on that, because while, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people struggle with the idea of public speaking, period. I know I'm sure the tagline in our post here, with what was it? Speak like a boss for profit, something along those lines. How do we profit from speaking? How do we do this?
Heck yeah. Well, for those of you who are listening and you're like, public speaking, I don't know. Well, there are 3 main ways that public speaking can build our business. And I want you to take a pause with me and take a deep breath of fresh air. Speaking gives you air. And AIR is an acronym, if you haven't guessed that. So the A in AIR stands for audience. No matter what size your audience is today, if you are speaking, you're probably speaking to more than just one person, right?
Yep.
So if you are limited on time, or if you don't want to spend all of your days and hours networking and having lunch and coffee meets and things like that because you don't have the time, then speaking is going to be the best use of your time for building your audience. And I mean, depending on what speaking opportunities you're doing, whether it's a podcast, which are often long-term engagements that you can still build your audience from years later. Absolutely. I have people who looked at my original YouTube videos from 6 years ago when I was a health coach, and they're like, yeah, I saw that video of yours. And yeah, I want to learn more about that. That was 6 years ago. It's not even current to what I'm doing. For you. Yeah. It's still working for me. And I don't have to do anything. It was like a 15-minute recording that I did. I was smart enough to do the recording. If you're not pressing record on what you're doing, you need to do that, please. You can always. But that's one of the ways. Yeah, that's one of the ways you build your audience is you make those connections. And if it's one to many, your audience will grow that much faster. The rest of the acronym I is impact. What kind of impact do you want to make? Not just in your business, but in the world. Yeah, absolutely. And this might inspire people who are like TED Talk prospects. They're like, I want to do a TED Talk. I want to be that thought leader. Speaking is perfect for you. You are a thought leader within your business. You are doing your business for a reason. And that's what I work with people on in mini coaching sessions, which are free sessions. You can connect with me if you want to learn more about that. But a lot of us don't understand like how we can put ourselves as an expert. Because we don't feel like we're experts until we have proof and validation, usually from outside of ourselves. Your impact is bigger than that. It is the connection you make one-on-one. It's the connection you make one to many. And impact, you can monetize it if you want to talk about money. That's one side of impact. But impact could be also how you make people think differently. Absolutely. Yeah, that one's huge. That's huge. Because you may not be the right messenger for anyone who's listening to you right now, but that doesn't mean you didn't plant a seed for changing something they do a year from now or 2 years from now. That is so powerful, Lori. That's just unbelievably powerful. Absolutely. I mean, I still have people that reach out to me that like I've never even talked to, but they saw something that I did, or they followed me for the past year, or they saw something a year ago and then that still stuck with them. So just because everything, I know we're in this age of everything needs to be quick and immediate, gratification, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. Or it could be both, it doesn't have to be either or. It could be like a quick burst right now, but then 3 years from now, you're like, someone's like, you changed my life. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, when you think about the people who changed your life, they probably were someone you heard doing a presentation somewhere, whether it was on a stage, at a meeting, on a podcast. You heard them somehow share something that changed your life. And that cannot be understated. Yep. And then finally, reach. Let's talk about reach. Okay, so right now we're streaming to like several different platforms. That is automatic reach. You and I both have our individual audiences. We have a combined amount of reach. Right. But everything we do has a trickle-through effect, right? Downstream from now, there will be more and more reach. Most people don't show up live. Yeah. I mean, it's true. Those of you who are live today, thank you for taking the time. And say hello in the comments, by the way. We love that you're here. That's amazing. But there are more people who will watch this after the fact. And so you have to be cognizant of that as a speaker. Yes, I want to know who's here. And don't feel deflated if there's 0 people showing up. I can't tell you how many people how many events I've hosted where 0 people showed up. But guess what? like later, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, I might have 5, 6, 10, 20 people reach out to me and say, I watched your thing and it was amazing. So your reach is literally like boundless.
It is. And
Could be in
I
the
just want to,
millions.
I want to just touch on what you said, because a lot of people get really hung up on that. Like, if someone's not showing up, or you're not seeing that somebody's there liking something or commenting, even whether you're speaking or even just posting something, that doesn't mean that people are not looking, that people are not lurking. A lot of people tend to not actually tell you that they're there watching it, but a few weeks from now, a few months from now, a few years from now, they're going to come out of the woodwork and it's going to pay off. So keep showing up, even when you think nobody is watching.
Especially if you tend to work with introverted folks, people who are very private. If you do very private work, I work with a lot of people in the transformational space. There could be trauma involved. There could be some other things involved. Sometimes you're talking about very scary things that make people uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean they're not listening and they're not gaining value from listening to you. So just, like Lori said, there are people watching and listening to you, but only if you show up.
Exactly. That's the one thing that you do have to do. You have to show up in order for them to watch you 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years from now. Is you have to show up now for that to happen.
How many people are getting terrified at the idea of 2 years from now they're going to be watching me? What?
I know. I have to say, I look back at some of the stuff I did earlier on in my business. I'm just like, kind of cringe a little bit. But you know what? If it resonates with someone, I leave it out there, because you never know. You never know.
I remember I recorded videos like 3 years ago. It was just when I was diagnosed with pneumonia and I had some asthma complications afterwards. I was listening to myself. I'm like, I'm sniffling like a Coke addict out here. It sounded horrible. And I'm like, I can't even stand to listen to myself because I was sniffling. I mean, my breath work was not good. So remember, make sure you breathe, folks. It's good for you and for your audience.
Love that. Love that. So this has been fantastic. So before we kind of wrap up or come into that point, if you had to give kind of one final piece of advice to the audience, what would that be, besides breathing? Keep doing that no matter what.
Yes, please don't stop breathing. One piece of advice would be, someone posted the other day that public speaking is overrated. And they were saying that what's more important is to have conversation with people. Public speaking is a conversation. Absolutely. You are not out there saying and spraying on people. That's not what public speaking is about. If that's what you're doing currently and you're like, yeah, I'm public speaking, you may be missing something that's important for not just you, but for your audience as well. It is a conversation. And if you don't know how to make it a conversation, I'm happy to help you out with that, because I will say during the pandemic, things changed with speaking. Virtual opportunities are more and more vast. And the expectations of you as a speaker have also changed in terms of engaging your audience. So understand that speaking is always a conversation. If you're live in the room, you're reading the energy of the room, you're reading the body language. If you're not live in the room, you're engaging your audience. So those are important things to pay attention to. Public speaking is not you just putting your stuff out there. It is having conversation with multiple people at the same time.
Exactly. And you have to get really good at that, speaking to everybody, because you may not know who you're actually speaking to, but it is still a conversation.
Very much.
Love that. That's great advice. Thank you so much, Jenn. So I know, just going to mention again to everybody that you have a freebie that you're going to share for those of us that are interested in learning a little bit more, and we will drop that in the comments after the show. So come back and you'll be able to click on that. And then where can people keep up with you?
Yeah, well, if you like how I emote on video, I have a YouTube channel, but I also am on Instagram. I'm playing around with reels, so check out some of my fun, really different reels. I don't dance, so don't expect to see me dancing
before we went live, guys.
I don't do that. I'm not shuffling. I'm not a 12-year-old kid shuffling out there, but I do provide important information in terms of public speaking, not just the words you say, but also the delivery. I'm focusing on delivery this month. So if you're interested in better techniques on how to sound better, then that might be worth checking out on Instagram at Jenn Espinosa-Go, 2 N's.
Love it. Love it. And that is up on the screen here, guys. So go over and follow and connect with Jenn on Instagram. And if you want to learn more, absolutely reach out to her, or at least download that freebie and get started. So this has been wonderful. Thank you so much, Jenn, for being here with me today. And I hope everybody, I know I see you guys on here, so I know there's people here. You've been quiet, and that's okay. But I know you are going to all get a lot. We're going to have some of those lurkers, I think, today a little bit. That's okay, guys. So if you need help with the public speaking, please reach out to Jenn. If you're just kind of, in that phase of, okay, I'm looking for growth in my business, I'm looking to scale and to leave that 9-to-5 life in the rearview mirror, and want to make this year the year that happens for you, please go ahead, reach out to myself or another admin in our Facebook group, send us a DM, and we will talk to you about how we may be able to help you get there this year. So thank you again, Jenn, for being here. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It has been fabulous. And we will see you back here next week. And we will be talking with Natalie about cybersecurity for digital nomads, or online entrepreneurs, period. So thank you, everybody. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.